Hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and today is day number 320 of 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service, and we have the runner up, the Emily Seelman from The Next Impactor. Not only is Emily a businesswoman, a graduate of, well, let's just say I cannot wait to talk about this and brag about her education and just everything about this woman. She has a nonprofit that she started with someone else. It's a very interesting story, I'm sure. And it is serving a need for mothers. So I want to welcome you, Emily, and
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad you're here.
Thanks.
Oh, in fact, I'm going to, before we get going, I want to recognize we have my chemo buddy with us right
Oh,
now.
awesome.
This is Helene. Helene, good to see you. And also we have Coach
Oh,
Chuck.
Coach Chuck.
Love him. He was the only one during the game that was gamified. That we can say, he went from one team to my team, Team
That's
Todd.
true. Yeah, I
Yes.
totally forgot about that.
Yeah, the twist and turns. Oh, we've
Yeah.
got a lot of our friends showing up. We've got Nancy, and I bet
Oh,
Scott's with her, two of our newer service heroes, and also from the top five of the Next Impactor. And we have another one, Christopher
aw.
Kaysen, Autism to Artism. I just can't even say thank you enough, everybody, for coming and joining us today. This is a show I've been wanting to have for a while, and get Emily on here. And I'm so glad we were able to arrange it. And Emilio, welcome. So let's talk.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, guys, you're hanging out with some girls now, some
Yeah.
from friends
I should
that
have brought
that
wine, not coffee.
well,
Yeah.
either one works for me. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, they say, right?
That's right. That's true. I think it's actually 6 o'clock here, so I should
Oh,
be
well,
drinking
there
wine.
you go. One more announcement before we get going. Stephen Smith. I will be going from this show on to Stephen's show today. So, Stephen, I'm glad you're here with us. Okay. You joined the Next Impactor as the nonprofit, not
Yes.
in your name. And that was an option that we all had. Why is it that you chose to do that?
There were two reasons. One was for branding purposes. So I have a couple different things going on, and
Right.
if I had entered myself, I thought it would add to some confusion, especially using Facebook as a platform and everything like that. So that was one reason. Another reason was really because I wanted to stay focused on making sure this was about networking for moms, and people who submitted their names instead of their endeavors or nonprofits were amazing at focusing it. I just know myself, and I think my message could get lost, and I just really wanted it to be focused on that, and I wanted it to just be another avenue that people could keep hearing the name networking for moms instead of my name. My name's not important in this. It's really the organization. And I think the third part was my sister and I had joined together, and that would have caused confusion too. Twins and two different names, two different twins. It would have been super weird and confusing. So, and we're co-founders of the nonprofit, so it just made more sense to streamline it. Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned it, and we're going to be going there because we're going to start here, but then we're going to go kind of backwards, if it's all right with you, because I like to kind of tell the story from here and then go back and then bring it back full circle.
Absolutely.
This is your sister, though,
Yes.
and and her name is Allison, correct?
Yes.
And so Emily and Allison, the twins. All right. So that is fascinating in itself. And when I went back, I had the most fun. And okay, guys, okay, cuteness.
How
Can we
did you
just
find the
say
picture?
cute, cute, cute? Okay, yes. Tamara Hunter has a little bit of fun. That's why I don't ask for biography or pictures, because I
That's
do a
funny.
little bit of research. Because I want to get to know my friends and the service heroes
Yeah.
that are doing things to help affect the world and
Right.
change the world. And so when I found this, I'm like, oh, cuteness alert.
I don't know how you found that picture. I don't even know what that picture is. So props to you. That's
Well, thank
better than the
you.
CIA.
Yeah, well, I used to be a headhunter. Wink, wink, guys. Yeah, way back in the day. We won't talk about what year and what kind of medium we had to use. We didn't have computers. I'll just say that. So, okay, so you grew up in a family where there were twins, and I'm going to show a picture because I actually saw, and that's the two of you, right?
Yes.
And then is that Grace? You have a sister named Grace, right?
That's
Or
actually, Grace is my aunt.
Grace is your
That's
aunt?
actually my brother. That's a boy
Oh,
in the
okay,
middle, but
your that makes sense. That makes sense. I was
so the
wondering about that.
very
Okay.
feminine curls back at that stage. But yeah, that's my brother JT. He's a year and 9 months older than we are. So my mom had all three of us very close together. So
That, I mean, you talk about, and she still has a smile there.
right, I know. I don't know how because I babysit my sister's baby, and it's a lot. I can't imagine having three kids all around the same age, let alone twins. And we were helping each other climb out of windows as babies. Like I don't. She had her hands full. So yeah,
Well,
I'm
and that
admire it.
makes a lot of sense in some of the stuff that I found because you have a bit of an art, I mean, like an athletic side to you, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so you're growing up as a twin. You've got the three of you,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
Okay. And was it the typical childhood? I mean, of course, besides being, the twins that, okay, wink, wink, let's go for an adventure, and doesn't matter if we have permission or not, we'll find our
Right.
way out, right?
Right. Right. Yeah,
And
it was a pretty normal childhood. My mom gave up her career. She was studying to be a nurse, and she gave that up, and she did artwork for a hospital on the side as kind of just like a side gig because she's really artistic. She's amazingly talented, but she gave all of it up to raise us, all three of us. So she sacrificed, 25 years of her life to raise us, which is amazing. So yeah, it was great.
and so now let me just ask you this. Okay, I found this picture, and is this the brother, your brother,
That's
or
my father.
that's your
Yeah.
father?
Hmm.
I love that picture.
I do too.
All right, so let's brag about this girl. She's not only just beautiful, you went to a private college
Hmm.
and you graduated as an attorney with a JD as a cum laude.
Yes, I went to a private Christian school for undergraduate at Grove City College, and it was really it was rigorous academics. So it taught me how to study, how to work hard. It was a dry town. It was very conservative. It was incredibly intense, but it was the most amazing experience I've ever had, and that it really trained me how to go to law school. So after Grove City College, I took the LSATs and I prayed about it, and I said, okay, if I'm gonna get into law school, here's hoping I could do this on one shot. And I scored high enough that I could get into Duquesne University, which is a law school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I went there full time for 3 years, and then got a position as a lawyer. Took the bar exam, and became a lawyer at a firm in Pittsburgh.
And did you specialize in any type of law?
I was a civil litigator, so I was a trial attorney, which was my primary focus, and I did some contract law. I was training under that, and a little bit of employment law, but my main focus was contract disputes, medical malpractice, anything that was going to trial. I took on. It was awesome. I mean, I wanted to be a trial attorney. It was my dream. I loved it, and then I got into it, and then I said, "This is not this is not the life I want." But it was an incredible experience, and the time that I was there, I loved it, and it trained me to be a businesswoman. It trained me to
Right.
be a smarter businesswoman than most because I think legally, but I react as a businesswoman. So it actually made me a lot better in business because I went to law school and I was a practicing attorney.
Right, and being a litigator, you had to you were making the cases, or you were defending the cases,
Mhm.
and having some contract law in there that you were seeing what did they do right and what did they do wrong and what took them to court. And
Right.
so that you can then learn to say, okay, I'm not willing to go down those roads because I know where those roads can take you, right?
Yes, yeah, that's a great point. Yes. And it's just fun because you learn how to, I mean, I remember in law school, we were taught whenever you're in a relationship, don't ever fight like a lawyer because you're never going to fight to patch a relationship up or keep it healed or heal it if it's broken. You're always going to fight to win. So I did. I learned to fight to win, and I did have to learn how to separate that in my life. But it was a great experience. You know, I grew up a little self-conscious and not really confident, and that going to law school really forced me to step into who I was, and even if I didn't feel confident, I could work my ass off and study and understand the law, and I could bring that forward, and you can win. And you
Right.
could win a claim, or you could keep it out of court and settle it to the best of your abilities for your client. So it taught me how to have that strength. And it was incredible because, again, that was an attribute I didn't have before. And I learned to cultivate it starting in law school and going into my legal career. And now I carry it into my businesses.
Okay, there's going to be people that are picking up on what you said, I'm sure, as much as I am. And I'm grateful that you shared what you just shared because of the fact that there are so many people. I mean, here, you're involved in sports, you're academically, okay, you said, okay, up to the community college or up to your bachelor's, you possibly were not maybe as disciplined. You had that fun personality. However, I mean, look at you. You're gorgeous. You're cute. You're gorgeous. You're smart. You're well
Thank you.
spoken. You've got so much going for you. And what you just shared in the confidence
Hmm.
piece. And thank you for sharing that because so many people and here at this show especially we support the community that I serve and others, but the
Hmm.
buddies show up a lot. And when you're going through cancer and you've lost your hair and maybe you've had some other surgeries that you've lost other things, and we don't just serve one cancer, we serve all cancers, but
Right.
that can start to shake
Mm.
your confidence, and some and others their confidence like engages, like I can get through this, I can get through anything.
Right.
And some are probably saying, wait a minute, here's this young, gorgeous, smart girl that has her own businesses. She's the runner up on a global competition. And how could she have ever had any kind of self esteem issues or any
Mm.
confidence issues? Can we
Right.
talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, of course, yes.
Okay.
When I was growing up, obviously, as a twin, you are always compared, and you inevitably compare yourself. And the natural human inclination, when they see two things that are like, is to find the distinctions in the two, and that's not a bad thing, right? It's just a very natural thing. So people always pointed out those distinctions, and some people were not as, I guess, kind about it or polished about their approach in doing that. So if there was any difference, if, weight wise, someone would say, well, you're the fat twin, or you're the skinny twin, or you're the twin with the ugly nose, and you're the twin. And we had every type of comment like that. And then my sister and I are both naturally very competitive, not against each other, but just like in life.
Right.
And so when you are constantly compared, you start to get into that mode where you're
Right.
always feeling like, am I enough? Am I enough? Exactly. And then you've
Yeah.
got parents who are on their last nerve raising 3 kids, and their twins are fighting, and they're like, okay, you're starting the problems, you go over here and you go here. But you hear those things and you pick up on them and you start to think, oh, I'm the problem. I'm
Okay.
I'm the one who's not good. You just make these, and it's not your parents, it's how I took it.
Right.
Right. And there are some people who do have parents or something that they have been told lies over and over. And for me, it was the way I was perceiving things. And so I grew up in that state. And while I was very disciplined all my life, and I did have a good personality and all of those things that were cultivated through my parents and through the relationships that I had, I still had that baseline. It was like that emotional home of sadness and isolation. And so I could always quickly revert to that, even when good things were happening. and I would always compare myself. And then I went to, and that showed up. It reared its head in relationships with guys. When we are not, as women, when we're not at, and I can't speak for men, so I can only speak for me. And I imagine women, when we're not confident in who we are and our identity, and seeing it beyond our hair and our nails and our eyelashes and what everything, everyone's talking about outward appearance, and we're not okay inside, our relationships are always going to reflect that level of how much we love ourselves. And my relationships with guys they were always like that. My relationships with people were always like that. And I had very strong female friends, and I had one who stopped me one day after I was in this bad relationship with this guy, and I kept repeating that cycle. And my friend looked at me, and she was exasperated, and she said, "When are you going to see how amazing you are?" Good. And it just stopped me. I had been hearing that from her and my other friends, but for some reason that clicked for me. And so I started on this track. It was like a year-long journey of saying, okay, how do I find my worth in the Lord? How do I actually not only just read these promises in Scripture that I am beautiful and highly prized and dearly loved and created so uniquely, and not as a twin, but as me, and take those promises and actually get them in here, not just repeat them in my head. So it was just this year-long journey of that. And then I finally went to a Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power Within, and that's when I was a practicing lawyer. So I had been starting in my practice. I realized I didn't really like that life. I didn't like billable hours. I didn't like who I was becoming in that. And I really liked socializing with people a lot more than lawyers could. So so I went to Unleash the Power Within, and that completely changed my life. It pointed out all those limiting beliefs and got to the root of them, and when they developed and when they formed, and some of my earliest memories when I perceived things or remembered them incorrectly. And so I was able to start to work on shifting my emotional home from sadness and isolation and comparison to everything is progress and beauty. And everything can be seen through a framework of a beautiful creation. And you can see everybody and everything, including myself, through that. So that's kind of how that
I love that. In fact, Helene just shared that she'd been looking for confidence and was going through chemo and radiation when she found Misty actually introduced us, and she was able to get through with the help of others, and she's been gaining her own awareness, and now she's graduated through chemotherapy and radiation, and
oh my gosh,
yes, I know, yay, and she's about ready to become a buddy for someone else. And so it's like when you can find that way to win, when you can find that confidence from within, when you can go to an event like a Tony Robbins type of a situation, or when you can join a community like Chemo Buddies for Life, or networking for moms, and you can find that, as some say, tribe.
Yes.
Right. Right. That like your friend did, your what we would call buddy did with you, and say, basically, when are you going to wake up? When are you going to wake up to this reality? Because you're living in your reality, sure. However, others see something completely different, and that's beautiful what you did. So you stepped back for a year, and you found something that you could relate with and work within, and you were able to find that peace and that joy and that confidence, and then now you're taking it out. Let's talk about networking for moms.
Absolutely.
How did you come up with this? It's genius. Let me just say, 18 years as a recruiter. I'm a mom of 4. I've been through a lot of different things. And when I was finding out about your nonprofit and what you've got going on, and all of it and how it's going to connect together, I'm thinking, perfect, genius. How did you guys come up with it?
Thank you so much for that compliment. Actually, I would love to talk to you more as a recruiter, because we've actually got 2 arms of this. And I think you know this. I think I told you that on our last live we were on together. But we've got the Networking for Moms Reentry that we're building right now. And that's the for-profit side. That's the side that's acting as a career placement agency. But we want to recruit the moms who have gone through our Networking for Moms nonprofit. And the nonprofit is the arm that's going to hold conferences. And the reason why we want it to be a nonprofit is because we don't want moms to have to pay to attend these conferences, because they're single income families. And some of these moms are single moms. They're raising kids on their own. They don't even have a spouse. So we understand that costs can be very prohibitive for people. So that's how we wanted to form this. I think it was in the fall, September, or October of last year, I was sitting down and thinking of things about how my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I had some aunts who were stay-at-home moms, and there was this common theme throughout all of their experiences, and it was my vision of them and how amazing and powerful they were and are, and then their vision of themselves going through this experience of trying to get back to work after raising kids.
Right.
And they get to this certain point of exasperation, and they say, I'm not enough. And I'm always overlooked, and I don't have any good qualities. And they start, because they hear over and over again, no, or they don't get calls back when they're applying for jobs. And they hear, oh, you've got a resume gap. How do you explain for 25 years of a gap? Because companies don't see value in that, quote, gap. And so I never wanted moms to feel, after I started thinking about that, I just said, I don't want moms to feel overlooked anymore. And I bought the domain and I did nothing with it. I just bought networkingformoms.org, and I'm like, one day I'm going to make this a nonprofit. I'm going to help moms all over the world. And then, like all, good visions, I did nothing with it. And it just kind of sat there. And I think that's a tendency we have as humans. We come up with these ideas, we put them on the shelf, and we always just kind of use that as our fallback of, one day I will do it. But we never actually pick a date because we don't want to hold ourselves accountable. We might think we'd fail if we tried to pursue it. There's all kinds of limiting beliefs. And I put it on the shelf and didn't do anything with it. And I think part of it was I didn't know how to start it, so I was afraid to start it.
Okay.
And I didn't want to put myself out there. And there's, there's always critics. There are always people who are going to look at it, especially right now when it's in that baby phase that it's in, and say, well, it's not anything yet. Right, but you have to start somewhere. Don't ever rue the days of small beginnings, because these are the important steps, and we're building this beautiful process. So fast forward, the next impactor comes around in January. Was it January of this year?
Yeah, I found out about it at the end of last year, but we all kind of trickled into it somewhere between the end of last year, beginning of this year, and I don't know when it officially kicked off, because I came into it after it had officially kicked off.
Okay. Yeah. So it had, I just kept hearing about it. And I'm like, oh no, that's for other people, not for me. I'm not going to do it. I'm trying to start up my company, which I have a cannabis company. Oh, thank you.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit too.
But I had just been starting that, and I was like, I am too overwhelmed with this. I can't focus on that. And then, someone had been talking to me and said, you should definitely consider it. And so I signed up, and then I said to my sister, I was like, let's do something with this. And so, hi, Jason. So actually, it was Jason who stopped me, and he was like, why, he challenged me on why I kept saying, no, I'm not going to, the next impactor isn't for me. And it's always one of those things. I think that's another tendency we have as humans. I think not everybody, but I do. It's where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I don't even think it through. I'm just like, oh no, that's not for me. And once I was challenged on that, I was like, wait, why isn't it? And it was another thing that I was like, what if I fail? What if I don't do well? What if I suck at this? So, thank you, Jason.
The Bald Avenger there.
Yes, exactly, Erin. Take an action, even if it's one baby step at a time. And that's what I realized. So the next impactor came around, and then I signed up Networking for Moms. I talked to my sister, and I said, let's do this. And then we bought a domain, we built a website, we started putting together a board, we started writing out our business plans, our pitch decks, and we're really just starting to move forward, picking a venue, coming up with, being very specific on how many moms we want to help, putting a number to it, as Jason's growth course, the G-Spot growth course. I took that course for my for-profit business, my cannabis company, and I applied those same principles to starting this nonprofit, because I want it to run as successfully as my for-profit business.
Right.
And one of the things that we learned first is, don't just say, I want to help moms.
Right.
Get very specific and very detailed. How many moms do you want to help in the first year? How are you going to do that? What does that cost look like? How will you get that money? What are your channels? Like, how do you reach out to those channels? So it was all those things. And because of the Next Impactor, it launched it and we jumped right in, and it's just like a freight train and it's not stopping. So it's an amazing experience. I could go on, so I'm going to stop.
Well, and I want to just add to it, because I did do this for 18 years. I was very successful, and I did have a real soft spot for this subject. And so back in the day, well before, and this was all for profit, because I was a headhunter, and I either had my own companies or I was in management for other companies. And through all of that period of time, we actually, back in the day, with the old fashioned recorders that had, they were big. It was like big as a TV or a car or something. And then they had a VCR that you would get from it. And in Orange County, California, there for a while, because of all the labor laws and everything, the bottom line is that we had a huge shift and a lot of companies pulling out of California, and we had a lot of changes in the economy. For example, aerospace. All of those jobs went to Florida. And the families that decided to stay, some of the moms ended up being the ones that had to go back to work because the dads didn't have an industry anymore. And if they were trying to stay there for their kids, it was like, what do you do? So we had some moms that were re-entries, and we had some moms that were first entries. And
wow.
we actually we created panels, and we videoed it, and then we would have little classes, and then we teamed with other companies to give them support to be able to learn their skills, and we were successful. Let me tell you that it is an area. That's why when I found out exactly what you were doing, I was like, yes, because it is so needed. There is such and there's a way of being able to really capitalize on what the experience is for these moms, and that companies are becoming a little bit wiser to this. And so this is a perfect time for you to be doing this. So hats off to you for it. And anything that I can do, count me in, because definitely I am all about it. No, I'm not going to overwhelm myself with stuff, guys, but I've been pulled back a little bit on some of what I'm doing, and so that I can go back to school, if you will, because I'm taking the G-spot and I'm taking it very serious, and I'm actually reworking a lot of things, and so that I can then take the nonprofit out there and make a difference throughout the world. And we're ready. We're positioned to do it. We just need to make a few changes and such. We have more showing up. I love it. I love it. We've got one of your teammates here.
Team Vicky. I know her.
And we've got Rayanne Gardner.
Oh my gosh, I love Rayanne's hair.
Yeah, in fact, I'm recruiting her to help me with a few things, Okay, we got to talk Bald Avenger sometime, because I do want you involved in the 24-hour streaming media event that will be happening on Giving Tuesday in comedy. I want him to do a comedy act. So
he should.
Yeah, we're going to start. We're going to start. We are going to start. We're going to start getting him convinced and ready to do that. December the 3rd, save the date, guys. Okay, let's continue.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I want to just point out here, Erin is one of our Chemo Buddy for Life ambassadors. She is a single mom that has her own business, and in a small rural area in Utah. And, yes, they need support and resources to be the very best. And this is something Erin and I talk about a lot. And I'll tell you, Erin, I have the utmost respect for this woman completely. And thank you very much, Helene. I appreciate that. We are, aren't we? Chemo Buddies for Life forever. Absolutely. I love it, love it, love it. So she's laughing, I think, at the Bald Avenger. So, okay, so you choose to, and this is what's fascinating, guys. I want to really have you guys sit up and take notice right now, all of you, because anything is possible. Anything is possible. All things are possible. And if you remember what we were talking about, Emily has had her challenges. She went to school. She was able to learn that she had the ability to learn. She was taught how to learn. She embraced that. She accepted it, and she went out there and applied it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're, and let's face it, there's a few days age difference between us. Wink, wink. And so, all right. So you've had a career already in the legal field. You were able to live out your dream and realize it may not be exactly where you want to be any longer. You have a new experience that you're looking for. You decide that you can be a businesswoman. You can go out there and make a difference, and we'll talk about that. I love what you're doing. And then you decide that you can also make a bigger difference or an equally huge difference and have multiple different companies, which people you can do. You have to be able to do it correctly, and talk to Jason Cisneros in the G slot for that. So, and so you decide that you can do this. You're going to recruit your sister to do it, the twin, for the nonprofit. So you buy the URL. You go ahead and say, we're going to do this. What was your experience with the Next Impactor?
It was a lot more than I expected, self-growth. And I just didn't, I had no idea what I was getting into, which is usually most things in my life. And none of us did, really. That's true. And a lot of it was, again, it was stepping back and seeing areas that I needed to grow in. And that's really, I mean, the most pivotal things in my life. And really, if I'm honest about it, every instance in my life, it's not even the big things, but even the small things, give me opportunities to grow and self-reflect and say, what is this teaching me? What is it meant to teach me? And I can say I did probably some of the biggest internal growth in my life through the Next Impactor. And the type of growth that I went through there for the nonprofit and my experience in this competition carried into the way I interact and think and live in relationships, in friendships, in my for-profit business, and in my cannabis company. So it really just transpired into every aspect of my life, which was amazing, and I didn't expect it. So
no, I don't think any of us did. Well, we didn't know what to expect,
right?
And like anything, I don't know that they completely knew what they were getting themselves into either. I know that that the idea was that they could help a lot of people to change the world, right? To many hands with different causes, to be able to get out there and globally start changing the world. There's a lot of really great people that put their hands up and said, yes, I'll put my name in that hat. I'm not sure what that hat is, except for that it's supposed to represent $500,000 worth of resources for the grand champion. And that was a lot of why a lot of people ended up saying, okay, yes, I will go ahead and have a little bit of faith. I will play the game. And they let us know that it was a bit gamified, that there would be twists and turns, that there would be all sorts of, I started really loving the
team challenges.
Yeah, the Mission Impossible. And because our team, it really did help us to figure out how to be a team.
Right.
When you were picked into the top 50, now being the fact that you joined as the nonprofit and you and your sister are the nonprofit, you took the lead. Was that something that you two had decided to do from the very beginning, or was it something that you just kind of stepped up, or how did that happen when you decided, or you were picked to go into the top 50?
I don't think it was something we had thought about when we first entered it. It was something that naturally evolved. And there was a lot of experiences through the Next Impactor that I needed and I needed to be a part of. And we made that decision together. We sat down one night and talked about it. And it was one of those things where that we just made that decision, and that's we had to run with it that way.
Right.
And I can honestly say it was the best decision because I needed the growth that I went through, because my companies outside of networking for moms wouldn't be the same, and my attitude wouldn't be the same. So I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful that it evolved the way it did.
Why don't you continue on that? Because I know that people are thinking, okay, how could this streaming media, reality, gamified, change the world kind of thing really be that? How
Life
could it
changing.
really, yeah, how
Yes.
could it really be life changing?
So one of the things, I was on Lauren Harris's live a couple weeks ago, right after the Next Impactor, and I spoke about this topic a little bit with him. And one of the biggest lessons I learned was about my attitude and the way I go into different things. And one of the things I realized was the way I do anything is what I'll get out of it. And I know the saying, the way you do anything is the way you'll do everything, or however it goes. And that's true. But the way I do anything is really will dictate what I get out of it. And I don't know what other people's experiences were with the Next Impactor, but I know when I first went into it, exactly, Noelle, it was every area of our lives we grew, if we allowed ourselves to grow, and if we allowed that to happen. And what the biggest thing I realized was how my attitude is when I show up. I have considered myself a positive person, or very objectively realist, or objectively optimistic, I would say, is the way I would describe myself. But
I like
when
that.
I went in, but one of the things I realized was I can call myself whatever I want and see myself whatever truth I want to see myself in. But what I realized the reality is that I went in and saw, even for instance, when I would see a challenge, was I positive about it? Was I saying, okay, let's do it? Was I playing all in and full out? Or was I saying, oh my gosh, another challenge? We got 2 challenges this week. I'm freaking tired, right? But just think about those 2 different reactions and how both of those reactions play out and ripple out so differently. And where my natural inclination is to say, what the hell? Like, another, really? He knows we have lives. He gave this to us at night. What is he thinking? It's due in 2 days. I have to and there's that overwhelmness and all of those emotions you can choose to feel, or you can say, I'm in this. That didn't change whether I had a challenge or 2 challenges this week, or we got dropped down to the top 50 and you're nervous. It doesn't matter. It's you get control of your mental attitude, and your mental attitude dictates everything. And when you went into chemo, and like you were saying, your chemo buddies, they have a choice to say, I'm going to freaking fight this and I am going to win, or they can lay down and say, let it take me. And you said, I'm going to win. And you fought tooth and nail for that. And your attitude carries out in everything. And that's why you won the Next Impactor, because you had that amazing attitude to fight for everything, every single moment of every single day. And everything is an opportunity for you. And that's why you won. That is truly why you won. And what I realize about myself is I don't see things that way all the time. And where in my life can I improve and see things in that way? Instead of being overwhelmed, instead of being negative, say, what an amazing freaking opportunity to grow this is. Instead of looking in the mirror and being self-critical or hypercritical, where can I look at it and say, no, growth is living. This is life. This is the best part about living. Progress or die. And this is, I want to always be progressing and growing. And you can't do that without not being complete at first, not being perfect. You have to be imperfect to grow. And so that is the biggest thing I learned. And because of that, I was able to carry that into everything. Because every day I wake up and I have the opportunity to wake up excited and ready to conquer the day, or ready to just be like, oh, it's another day, and forget I have my own company. I live on my own schedule. I took that course, the Growth G-Spot course, and because of that and doing the work and implementing those things, I'm successful and appreciating that. Where there's days where I'm looking in the mirror and I'm so hypercritical that I forget all of these blessings, and my attitude needs to change. And that's what the Next Impactor taught me. So it's been incredible.
Yes. And thank you, Christopher. I was going to actually bring this up. You not only are the first runner-up, or the runner-up, and you were, along with Christopher, the winners of the video contest that we didn't even know that they were going to be recognizing awards for videos. And yours was because you had the most engagement. And let's see here. No, it doesn't. I don't have it with but you ended up with like Christopher with 2 different trophies. And how, I mean, the video challenges, did you have video experience before you joined the Next Impactor?
I would not call myself a good video editor. I'm an amateur, I guess I should say. I'm an amateur.
We all are.
Yeah, exactly. But my sister and I, we make YouTube videos. We have our shared Instagram social media platforms, and we've been growing that. And one of the things that we do is YouTube videos, and they're kind of like those reality, we film each other. And so I just had a basic, the basic video editing app on my laptop. And I began to really feel like that was a creative outlet for me to be able to just play with it and use that side of my brain. So is this a Jason comment? You're shaking your head. 3 trophies if you count me. That's what I said on a comment before. 2nd place wins Jason, I guess. That's what I'm just kidding.
Hey, I want him too. I call him Coach.
There you go. You can have him too. We share.
That's right. We share. All right. So I want to just make an awareness that while you were talking, something came to me, and I really want to point this out, because anybody that's thinking that they're going to go out there and change the world need these kind of challenges, need to be able to find that within to say, okay, I think I can affect the world, but I can't get a challenge in the middle of the night. I can't get a couple of them in the week and have a good attitude. I can't be feeling a little taxed, and yet I believe I have something that's going to make the world spin better, and it's like, okay. And I will say, for anybody that's considering the 2nd season, is that yes, I played all in, and I always was saying that I was the next impactor. And in truth, did I know that I would win? Maybe not, but I felt no matter where I came in, I had already won, because that day I was the next impactor. And that's the way I went after it, because I was impacting, or am impacting, the world through my nonprofit, The Buddies. And so, it's all a matter of how we frame things, how we internalize it. And you don't have to join the Next Impactor to do that. Right. Learn from us. There's going to be some books coming out that are pretty exciting. You're in a book already from your team, correct?
Yes. We are in the our Coach Vicky. She published a book that we are in, so I'm very excited about it. She was an amazing coach. She was great. She's a powerhouse too.
Oh,
so,
I'm already.
And that's Oh, yes.
I'm working with her now. Yes, and she's helping us. I mean, here's an international powerhouse woman with an international draw, and how can you not say that you're going to go global when they bring the powerhouses together? And yes, Jason, you're a powerhouse.
Beat him to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Okay. So cannabis, let's talk. People are going to say, I bet some, maybe even that are a few days older than you, like me, wink, wink, that that's marijuana. That's that leaf that in the 70s I knew what that was. Either I loved it or I stayed away from it. And there's a whole school of thought. There's a whole new industry that's shaping up, that unless you understand the history of the United States and the history of that world and the history of why the pharmaceuticals are so big, and why at different times even the alcohol industry was big and wasn't big, and cannabis or marijuana or whatever you want to call the and I know that there's a little difference, we'll go in there, but I'm just framing right now, because I hear about this a lot, because I have family members that are one way or another in this industry and doing quite well, that some are like, well, if it would have been something that should have been around, it would have been around a lot longer. And we don't have to go into the history of it all. However, this is a period of time that makes a lot of sense for us to be bringing to the world something that should have possibly been here a little longer than it has been. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what got you into it, and how can we learn more?
Absolutely. Well, I just want to make a quick comment about what you said. It has been used in the past. It just went through a period of time where it was completely eradicated, and there was a lot of, I guess, talk and noise around it that put us in a period of time where, people like me, I grew up and was born into a generation where it was not used, it was taboo, and it was, the devil's weed or the devil's drug. But there was a period of time where it was used as a medicine. It was very normal. So
When was this?
even some of the earliest transcripts have cannabis being used. I mean,
Okay.
it was very, very normal. And
Okay.
then you've got it going in these fluxes and these peaks and these troughs based on government issues, wars,
Right.
things like that, taxes, kings. The history is fascinating.
Okay.
It's just
I'm
but
intrigued. I'm going to have to
yeah.
learn a little bit more. Okay.
I would say that that's the
Thank
first,
you.
and that's kind of how I actually got started, was studying the history, because I grew up not using it, not thinking it was terrible, thinking, gateway drug, all of that. And I looked into the history of it. And actually something we learned in the growth class is when your emotion meets intellect or math, intellect will win every single time. And so my emotion was, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. That's what I was raised on, DARE program, all of these things.
Right.
And then I started studying the legal end of it and the history of it. And I said, wait a minute, this is in direct conflict. What's going to win? Well, my emotions had no support, but the facts were the facts. So I had to shift my opinion of it. And I didn't just go out and buy a bunch of blunts and start smoking them, but I changed my opinion of them very intelligently. And I think that's the way we should approach everything in life, is look at it and say, what am I holding on to? What beliefs am I holding on to because I was raised that way, or I just naturally think that way? Gateway to awesome. It is, Jason. It's gateway to awesome. Hi, Amy. So I got started in the industry pretty soon after that, and I started helping people apply for permits, and I eventually just started my own company, and it's called Tetra Growth Systems. Tetra is the play on words. It's the first word in THC, right? It's the first part of THC. And right, so my company, it's a cannabis consulting company, and we help people apply for permits with the state. So if someone's looking to open and operate a dispensary or cultivation facility, manufacturing facility to grow marijuana, they have to apply with the state. And that's a very rigorous process. It's competitive. I mean, it's very intense. It costs a lot of money. It's a lot of time, effort. These clients need consultants to help them build that application. And I've had the blessing of being able to help a lot of people do that. And so it kind of, I put that company through the G-Spot course, and it's grown substantially ever since. And it was just putting in those systems and processes to help people and do it very well and effectively. So I've helped people with their applications, and then through that, we've also been able to help them grow their companies, meet their audits and things like that. So it's been really, really a fascinating journey, and I love it. And the thing I love the most is growing it to the point where I can hire people, contractors, and give them work and give them opportunities for them to grow, to experience a new industry that they weren't, necessarily experienced in before. January, she was on here earlier. She was on my team in the last round, and it was awesome to work with her, to see her strengths, to figure out where she fits and how well she fits in these certain aspects that other people that I had didn't fit. And it was just really awesome to see that. And then to be able to provide a benefit that I've never been able to do before, and that's to pay people and to give them money. And it was really cool. It made me feel amazing. And like we've learned substantially through Jason and through other people, is you can't help other people if you're not helping yourself. Imagine if we all got our wealth to a place where we could just benefit people and bring opportunities to people. You feel amazing that you can do that. And that's like the entrepreneur's dream, is to be able to help people like that. So I love it.
Now, are you legal to work in all 50 states, or where are you working? You're licensed to be able to do that?
We have clients all over the country and
Okay.
in Canada. So it's been an amazing experience. And I have my legal background, I'm licensed in Pennsylvania, but in my cannabis company, I don't do the legal advising for that. I have attorneys that I can always recommend for people that specialize in marijuana, but I help with their business structure.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I like the structure of that. That makes a lot of sense. Very well
It's fun.
done. Very well
Thank
done.
you.
How long have you had this business?
It was official, I think it was, let me think. Actually, I should look that up. I was actually doing it before I had my LLC. I got my LLC to protect myself, which I recommend to anybody.
Yeah.
So please do that. I
Especially
started
being
in
a
this,
lawyer. Yes.
right.
Okay, yeah.
I started in this industry in around it was 2016. I started in the industry. I protected myself with an LLC a little bit after that, but I had been
Okay.
helping people since 16.
Okay. All right. All right. And I agree. We have Rayanne is saying you are amazing,
You're
and
amazing, Marianne.
um,
Easy, gangsta. Because I look like a gangster.
and he's just having fun. Okay. It's like, okay, let's just he's definitely Jason, you're gonna have to be on Healing Through Humor on the 24
That's
hours.
right.
Uh,
This is his audition.
yeah, I
What he
know,
doesn't
and
know
I'm
is this is
making
his
me
audition.
laugh. All right, so as we're rounding around now, we've got like 10 more minutes. I just want to say something personally, publicly, but yet from me to you, and that was when we were up on that stage, and there was the five of us, and then there was the four of us. Well, there was the six of us because the Kingslings, they were the couple
Right.
together. So there was five of us for the top, or six of us for the top five,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were the top. They were the number 5,
Mm-hmm.
and then Christopher number 4, then Misty number 3, and then you and I were standing there. And at that very moment in time, here we hadn't really had a chance to visit much at all, and you were so amazingly wonderful to me. You just made me feel so special, and you were just so kind, and I want to say thank you for that,
You're
because
welcome.
it meant a lot to me. And so everybody out there, you just never know, unless you're a pageant queen or you've been in other type of situations. I had seen a lot of different things like this, but I'd never been in that situation before, where you've worked so hard, and then you're all there dressed up, and your dress was beautiful, and yes,
Thank
your
you.
tux was nice too, Jason. And I mean, you're so adorable, and I love the way you're holding on to Christopher's hand there, and you never. I mean, I never thought about it. I hadn't put myself into that spot. What would it feel like to be standing there at the very end, and the way that they had to do it, I don't know that they could have really done it any other way, is that your name or networking for moms was never mentioned, because it went from 5, 4, 3, and then to 1.
Right.
So I want to publicly recognize you as the official runner-up, your nonprofit, Networking for Mom, and your sister, Emily and Allison Seelman, and I know your sister is married. I don't know her married name. However, you need to have your names recognized, because you have been out there, you are doing the work, you have found that there is definitely a need, and there is. This is a need, and it's been for as long as there's been employment, and that women have been, I mean, World War II, a lot of women started going into the workforce,
Right.
and it was a different dynamic. However, ever since then, there's been this issue, and it's still a bit of an issue. It's getting better, but it's still a bit of an issue. And to be out there supporting it in such a way, I just want to say thank you for that.
I appreciate that a lot. That means a lot to me. And I do want to say, though, I loved the way that the ending was structured because, I mean, I'm not experienced in pageants either. So, but I liked it because if they had announced us as the runner up, then it would have taken all of that flavor and that amazing moment. It would have taken that away from you as the winner. And you worked for that, you earned that. And so for anything less than what happened would have been a huge disservice to everything you put into this competition. So I'm grateful for the way it was structured. It was perfect. It was perfect. Your dress was beautiful. Your
Oh, thank you.
demeanor was beautiful. I mean, and just the joy you had and the overflowing joy, and it wasn't for you. You never did this for you. And that was so evident, and it was so palpable on the stage that you just wanted this for the chemo buddies. And that's just, and it's just, I'm inspired by you. I'm in awe of you. And it's incredible. So I'm thankful for this, and I'm thankful to have stood next to you on that stage.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. And Amy is saying that it is needed, and she's basically saying, thank you for what you're doing. And Amy actually does have a business that she's helping others. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be looking at comments.
This must be
Amy's
something from
helping
Jason.
others that need it, and of course you were. I bet you have plenty of trophies to show for it too.
I bet his dresses looked really pretty.
I think so. All
But
right.
Amy makes a good point. I mean,
Yeah.
Amy is a boss, and the thing
Yeah.
is she never got to be on stage for that, and that's an amazing thing that she accomplished. And there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of moms. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Rayanne. There are hundreds of thousands of moms who are experiencing that right now.
Right.
They're overlooked, and it's
Right.
never appreciated. And they're not going to stand up and, most moms aren't going to stand up and be like, I deserve to be seen and heard. And it's like, no, they're going to go about their lives because they don't have time to bitch and moan about not being understood or seen or getting back to the workplace. They've got mouths to feed. They've got children to support. They've got families to work for. And we want to be that for them. So that's the goal in all of this, is so people like Amy, don't ever have to feel alone and feel that struggle. We want that support system for them.
Right. And just to let people know too, is that many times, and maybe when you're putting your conference together, and we can talk about this, but many times I found that some of the moms that were returning back to work, and if they were doing it because of a divorce, they were possibly dealing with some emotional issues too, because it's not very uncommon, sadly to say, that many of them are suffering from post-traumatic stress because of the marriages. And so then that's another component to the post-traumatic stress of the whole deer in a headlight. And then on top of it, I need to be able to go and support my family, and possibly child support's that's not an uncommon thing either. We can talk offline.
Right.
There's so much that your nonprofit can actually serve, that I'm just so grateful that you are doing it. And yes, any way that I can help you, I definitely will. And anybody that I can put you in touch with in this area, be happy to do that too. So, because it's all about, and that's what I really have to say, that one of my take homes, and I will start wrapping it up and give you the last thought. But last night I had a meeting for the Giving Tuesday event that we're having on December the 3rd. And one of my teammates was there, Brooke Corinne, and we were talking about different volunteer positions, and she was like, yes, and we can actually tie in to some of the next impactors, wink wink, because how I do that. And I thought, you know what, yes, we can, because so many, and that's what I just want to say, thank you for the next impactor, because so many of the people that did join and then really gave it their best self are really good people. And really, so many of our teams and so many of us have kind of ended up like a family, like we're there for each other. Call upon me. And I appreciate that.
I do too.
I would like to now be able to, as we round this around at the top of the hour, give you the last moments. What kind of words of wisdom that you would like to leave? And then from there, how can people follow you? And if they're interested in finding out they've been thinking about having a cannabis business and they want to talk to you about that, how can they get a hold of you for that too?
Absolutely. I think I would just leave everyone with what I had learned in the Next Impactor. And it's really, take a look at what attitude you're bringing into everything. Is it an attitude of someone who is a, fierce fighter, a winner, someone who's going to give everything their all, every experience, live in that moment and breathe it in and give it 110% of your passion and your effort? Are you showing up in that way in every aspect of your life? And what small changes can you start to implement in your daily practice to get there? It doesn't have to be a huge shift all at once, but maybe just change the way you think right when you first wake up tomorrow. Yeah. And then, tonight, how are you going to think before you go to bed? Are you going to go to sleep distracted? Or are you going to go to sleep after writing out your dreams and your goals for tomorrow and set yourself up for success? How can you change the way you're going to go about things in your attitude so that you can reach the goals that you have? And if you're not really clear on your goals, maybe get clarity on that too, because if you don't make them palpable and put numbers behind it, like we've learned, you won't really get anywhere. And I think that's the thing that you and I had learned. So I would leave people with that. If you want to get in touch with me, of course, my name is Emily Seelman. You can find me on Facebook and connect to me through there. I can lead you in whatever avenue you need to go. But networkingformoms.org, and it's networking with the number 4. Moms.org is the website for our nonprofit, and we're currently building the reentry program right now, but you can reach out to us in that website, and there's options of how you can help support us or get involved or subscribe to us. And any help we can get, we would love, because we want to lean on the wisdom of people like you who have been through this before and can guide us appropriately. And for the cannabis side of things, my company is Tetra Growth Systems, and you can find me online at tetragrowthsystems.com.
And spell that out.
It's Tetra, Tetra, Growth, Growth, Systems, Systemes.com.
Okay.
Or just find me, and I'll help guide you.
And then you help, you'll direct them. Okay,
exactly.
Over here. Yeah. Okay, well, I want to say thank you for being here, and thank you for being you. And as we close day number 320 of 365 days of awesome, celebrate success through service. Emily, may I just say, you are truly a service hero.
Thank you.
You are serving through your nonprofit. You served me and you served others within the Next Impactor, and you are helping to serve a community of people out there through your business that are going to be able to then help others. And some of them, in a full circle effect, will possibly even be some of my buddies. So I want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Okay, everybody, we will be back tomorrow, and tomorrow's show is going to be a different time than normal too, and it will be 11 o'clock Pacific time, which translates 2 o'clock Eastern time, and it's going to be Lawrence Destenga. She's one of my teammates from Team Todd, and I have been wanting to get her on this show too, and we are going to tomorrow. See you all tomorrow. Bye. Oh, and catch us on Steven's page in half an hour. Bye.
Bye.